당도 세티래 셴바 안 세티기 되게 잠려야 셴되바 있나 셴바 직제 안에 셴바 되네 감숨기 콜위도 코발이야 셴바제 되네 랑 제정의 삼바랑 된래 셴바제 되네 안 다도 셴바 심템버도 집에 텐신제 지산디 디시티 방고 그래야지 대디 방고 현자다 체텔라 안 시디 점기 디기래 신비기 셴바티 빠야를 양은 좀 님보로 가르곰 고래 람나 안 체디기 안에 지게 덴저 밀리름부터 된 쳔바다 안에 톱가와 안지라와 안에 지와미다와 두섬다 공고래세지 그신 디주차제 나디네 다신번이바 안에 감숨라 신비기 셴바티 제야리아 안에 님보 가르곰 고래 람나 아 나 저기 안에 콜위 감숨유 야 콜위 동아디게 된 거 그래야지 콜위 동아 공부 그래야지 다 콜위 동아 공나 될래야 안에 저기 동아 삼당 망부여래 지산디네 인자 당하도 디나 셔야 될다 동아 숨 동아의 동아샤 삼야나 규의 동아 삼야 안에 잡아두지 동아 삼야지 디고 삼야디 나 콜위기 쉐래 셴바 빠야라 안에 데니게 동아 삼고 그래야지 디고 셔야지
Good morning. So we've been looking at now for the last number of weeks at the text, the parting from the four clingings, and these are the root verse is mentioned in the third verse of the commentary of Dr. Gelsen that we're using. If you cling to this life, you are not a practitioner. If you cling to the three realms, that is not renunciation. If you cling to self-interest, you are not a bodhisattva. If grasping arises, it is not the view. So last night, so thus far we've spoken about the antidotes to the first two of these clingings. The first, which is clinging to this life, where one is preoccupied by achieving happiness in this life and overcoming this life's problems. We spoke about the antidotes that need to be cultivated within oneself, namely the reflection on the precious human rebirth that we've attained, something that is so difficult to achieve and is so rare, but has great meaning. And through reflecting effectively on this, one gives rise to the wish to live a meaningful life, to achieve the potential of this human birth. And thereafter one reflects on the impermanence of this situation, the impermanence of this life, the impermanence of the opportunity we've achieved, giving rise to an ever stronger wish to strive for a meaningful goal right now. And then one reflects on the sufferings of the lower realms and the sufferings that potentially await one if at the time of death. And these are the antidotes to turn away from clinging to this mere life. And then last night we continued to look at the second of the four clingings that needs to be abandoned, and that's clinging to the three realms, or clinging to samsara in its entirety. And here, to turn away from clinging to samsara, one needs to reflect on the suffering nature of samsara. In order to reflect on the suffering nature of samsara, there are different ways that one can approach this. There's an eightfold division, a sixfold division, and the division that is used in the commentary here, that of the threefold division. And these are the suffering of physical and mental pain, the suffering of transient pleasure, and all pervasive suffering. And it's through reflecting on these that one will turn away from clinging to samsara in its entirety.
아래다 데네 인장아도 동아 숨미 삼판들라 아니 기생이 마셔야 될래 동아 거라 동아 세야지 가서야 소화 동아 오소직 내나서 중제 오소 동아 소화 작고 동아 온도 규신백이 소화 동아 뒤에다 동아 세야지 그러다 디 동아래 디 기생이 마셔야지 다 가상가도 쉬어야 돼 규의 동아 세 쉬거라 다 규의 동아 세야지 간르세람나 나주기 지팅기다 될래야 대화녀야기 대화디기리 베능아 사시기 대화시기리 될라 사시기 대화녀야기 당아 저기 지칼라산에 대라요다 점어제네야 지금 가랑하요다 냠님 전에 가랑하요 언제니기 대화디 네 저기 될래야 네 동아세 제제 가상 디고랑 주시거라
In the previous weekend, we looked at the first of the three types, the suffering of suffering, or the suffering of mental and physical pain. So this is what we are most familiar with. It's the feeling of suffering. So it can be experienced through in a coarse way, such as physical pain, such as illness, as well as mental anguish, such as anger and jealousy and the like. So this we looked at previously, and last night we looked at the second type, the suffering of change, or the suffering of transient pleasure. So this is, in brief, it's the feeling of happiness, or to express it differently, worldly happiness, or to again express it differently, contaminated happiness. So this contaminated happiness that we experience, this too is suffering, and it's the suffering of transient pleasure. So illustrations that are easy to understand: the happiness we experience when we eat a delicious meal, the joy of being with friends or being on holiday. These all are transient happiness, worldly happiness, contaminated happiness. And this is what is meant by the suffering of transient pleasure. So that we looked at last night. Whilst this threefold division of suffering, the second division, suffering of transient pleasure, it's suffering, but from a worldly perspective, this is happiness. This is all the worldly happiness that we experience. So it is happiness, but it's worldly happiness. It's not stable happiness.
Kalasa, Zemoze, and then a Kiwaki, Dewatela, and the Garsore, and Dewas moving gorge, and Dewas moving gorge. Nadanga, Pejinala, she doing a Yamlin couple of she do, now to Chitilia, Dewas moving Hagi, as Sachiki Dewatela, as to Yamlin couple of she do, Delia, and Guru to us Mintagore.
From a worldly perspective, when we meet a friend and we ask them, how are you? And they ask us how we are, then if we're experiencing some physical pain, we'll say, oh, life is quite difficult, I'm ill. Or if we're experiencing some mental anguish, we can say, oh, I'm really worried at the moment. And this is how we talk about suffering. This is what we mean by suffering in the world. And this is the way, from the worldly perspective, that and that alone is suffering. And similarly, in terms of happiness, when we meet a friend and we ask them how they are and they ask us, and we say, oh, I'm great, I'm healthy, my illness has passed, everything is good. And the friend says, oh, I've been watching the sports, it's fantastic, we won, and everyone's really happy. So from a worldly perspective, this is happiness. And this is the way we talk in the world. This is what we mean by suffering, and this is what we mean by happiness. But from the perspective of a spiritual practitioner, of someone who's striving to live a meaningful life and achieve goals of great value, then what is meant by suffering in the world is certainly seen as suffering, but at a very coarse level. And worldly happiness too, though, this too is seen as suffering, the suffering of transient pleasure.
Desolia and Gu Dunga Salago, Jimsen Carel and Gu Dunga said, Desolia, Devati, Tunu Mado, Unibu Homar, Timbu Homares, Deva Yangata by the Mares or Dondala, Deva Yangata by the Mares, Carson Desugi Chelia, Lamsa, Digilia, Dunga Giligres, Chesanti Deva Yangata by Mares. Deva Yangata by Chimaina, could Deva to Yonsevi Chelia, Devani Deva Devani Deva Mado, Dunga Yom Mayana Chikures. She's Dewa Yantava. Madu Daddy Dewa Yantava Marco, Dewa and Gasam Gilia, Dunga Leores, Co Gurche, Tishula, Dunga Gileum, Deneza, Denigi Dewa Tibe, 대화 충충 지마도요 말해서 대화 충충제 안 대로 옆에 남상 규쇼쇼로시 동아리게 제가 되는 인자 템부 매외기 대화들이 했을 때 대화 양다고 말했어. 규 동아라고 해야 돼 디레도 나라.
It's important that we clear why from a Buddhist practitioner's perspective, worldly happiness is to be seen as suffering. And this is because whilst worldly happiness is happiness, one is experiencing the feeling of happiness, so it's suitable to be called happiness. But this happiness is transient. It's not stable. It will change. And because it's not stable and it's transient, it will change. And when it changes, one will experience suffering. One will then again experience the suffering of suffering. So this happiness that we cling to it's not stable, it's not lasting, and therefore this is not the happiness worthy of striving for, because it changes, and it changes so very swiftly. So this is why, from the perspective of a Buddhist practitioner's view, worldly happiness is not as to be seen as the happiness worthy of striving for, because it's unstable, it doesn't last.
데니게 대화 통로로 중요해야 되는 아주 대화 연구를 디 고고를 이나 대삼기 이스미야 가요 말이죠. 땅 안솔 가르고 것은 대화 때문에 고고래서 대화 때문에 대화지 규어균에 매팅 규어도 게디나 대화니 대화 고고마다 까마카시지 대화 녀한테는 누마배 녀야다 되는 야 대화되어서 녀한테 강아망고 쳐야되는 디 안솔이야 제게 그 먹어야지 그래서 세상 안솔 가르고 고고라서는 게디나 대화는 대화도 강아서 싸우기는 매가지고 고고래. 세상 되는 대화디 토바지고 되는 대화디 토벼 여러 배서는 토벼 여러스 안 가려 여러서는 탈바세 토벼도 아니 대화 토고리 해서 그래.
So this happiness, this worldly happiness that we experience is called, whilst it is happiness, from the perspective of a practitioner, this is called suffering because it's not stable, it doesn't last, and will be followed by the suffering of suffering. And moreover, so that's the first reason. A second reason that it's referred to as suffering is that whilst this is happiness, it is slight happiness. It's not very powerful, and it's, as we've heard, it's not long-lasting. And it's called, and the second reason why it's referred to as suffering is because there's the potential that we'll be deceived by this happiness, in that we'll be satisfied with this mere happiness, believing that worldly happiness is as good as we can experience, and therefore it is worth striving for. So in this way, if we end up being deceived by worldly happiness, this is what we will be satisfied with achieving. Whereas this inner yearning that we have to be freed of suffering and thereby experience lasting, stable happiness, this is what we need to strive for. This is the happiness that is worthy of putting our effort and our energy into. This is the happiness that comes from being liberated from suffering and achieving then happiness that is lasting and stable. So we must be careful not to be deceived by the delights of samsara, and thereby being deceived by worldly happiness and be satisfied with that, thinking that this is as good as we can achieve.
달로 가제 녀베네 안델야 안 간섬질량 양안좀 지지어 코야 마시 아니 되는 간설 파게 완전히 동안용과 최고래서 지난해 저기 체디기 저기 규동 디기디 통로 인바데 저기 님질 삼다외나 dunga dewa tues nyong de ya kama khashi chile ha kama dunga le de nimi chile ne de ne kyo to ya mo shyo ba che andi membe ga nga zu mi chi chile sam ta we ne nga zu mi ni ke che da ma shi ba do jinga zu ke ko ye dewa de mo nyo yo de ine de su tembu me ba re ga san shi so ba na nga so le ke wa ne ke di na dunga nyong ga ya cha ya che ko des ji za la le ke ba ine ya la le ke che ko zo ke ne ma shi ba do ande ne ke che dewa nyoya ki dewa shobe na disu dewa dige tembu yo mara karasana di shi so ne ma so le kewa ma ke ne ya tunga nyong lo che sa tingi dewa chago yo mara es zena le yong bo geshin se se kewa len ba yin ne kewa len je be khor yu de za ma na so so ge tingin cha sang yo ba so so shi wu ji di gi yo ba yin ne de ne ya den de le ya ge ju ju so so ne ma sa ba yin ne ma shi je ya an ma na so le ge ya da ta la mi ke de ne la kyo bo da mi kyo bo ya ge ya ge de ne ge dung yong ya cha go des je san de so den bu yo ma des ne ka san de yu wo chu ge de ne mi den bu ju ju go re se de ne ko ya ka san ji shu ro.
Furthermore, last night, when we looking at the 17th verse, we spoke about how the happiness that is experienced by beings who've achieved a rebirth in the so-called happy migrations, so ourselves and fellow humans as well as gods, this happiness that is experienced is unstable. It will change, it changes momentarily, it ceases, and then at the time of death there is the possibility of falling to the lower realms, and if one falls there, one is tormented by incredibly powerful forms of suffering. So this is something that we need to reflect on, and through using mindfulness, being aware of our experiences from day to day, we can see how whenever feelings of happiness arise, they don't last. They come to an end. This happiness changes. It's not stable, it's not lasting. And we can, if we are aware, if we are mindful of our experiences in just a single day, we'll see how many times this happens. We experience some joy, and it ends. And then we experience problems. And then we experience some joy, and that ends. And we experience again suffering. So we can see this on a daily basis, and we need to see this. And likewise in our reflections, we should look back on our life thus far and see that all our moments of great joy and success, this happiness was not stable, it did not last, it ended and was followed by great difficulties, by further problems. So we need to come to gain clarity of this from our present experience as well as our experience thus far in this life. And then thirdly, we can observe the world around us, and we can imagine the lives of the great and the good, those who seem to have an opulence of success and comfort, and we can be sure that their experience is on a slightly deeper level. It's no different from ours in that all their experiences of pleasure come to an end and are followed by suffering. And then fourthly, we can move that our meditation to the unseen realms, to the God realms. And here we saw about the god Indra, so a god with the most opulent of pleasures. These two are impermanent, these two change. And if, like ourselves, virtue hasn't been accumulated of a similar strength that will lead to a similar rebirth, there is the danger of falling to a lower realm at the time of death, a very real possibility of falling to the lower realms at the time of death. So this is what we looked at last night. And we need to reflect on this in our meditations. Through awareness or mindfulness of our day, expand this then in our meditations, reflecting on our life thus far, on those around us, and unseen realms. And see how this happiness that we experience, this pleasure we experience, is not stable. It changes and is followed by suffering.
Na diring ma shue de kasang ge chue de kasang chi tin ma le ba ni de mun bo zhuo yu ko lo ju je chen du jie wa yu zai de di zhuo kasang da di ni zhi ni de xie sa da diring din ma xie de
ni da mun bo zhuo yu de. So now we come to a new line, and this is the fourth line in the 17th verse. Sun and moon can turn into darkness.
다 니마당 다와디기에 안에 지게 문법으로 요래시래. Mumbasan no chayors or what Nimalia where she was. And then Dawale where she Yurada dine, and then no chayors got it only that in the Yorvis.
This is no big surprise. We know the sun sets and there's no sunlight. The moon sets, there's no moonlight. So on the surface, it seems quite clear.
And the names that Nimadi Mumba to US, the Danganzuki, then the Minganzuki disora, Gideon Nima said in Dawa Tonto Kentikishi or Dawa the Nima the Shigorova. Then that they said Nimada Dawa said, Lay Lagic Mira, Lay Ming. Nima Sada, Nima Sada, and Dawa Sada. Danganzuki and the Munity Shigore.
Usually, when we talk about the sun and the moon, we think about these two orbs in the sky. But here it refers to gods who have the name. One who has the name sun, another that has the name moon.
Jina Geshe Pechi Geshe Nalia, Anzu Nima Sadi, Yening as a Tondu, Nima Dawatiki, Nimigi, Jonker, Kansans, Kambanashi, Danganzuki, Delia Nedi can get Hadikele, Nima Sada, Delia Nedi Hadikela, Dawa Sada, Benaz Dirwada, Australia, Lintinala, Nedi Midiki, Australia Lagrua. And the Dirva and Dinashi, or Dinashi, the Australia said such a chair. Dine educate medical Australian said, or Dinashi, the Yening of the Nimuton, the Nimadi, Kansan, come on. Della Nedugan, Ladicella, Nimasil. Sinakashi, Educational, Jik Dirusi Legdum.
In some texts, the sun and the moon are actually the celestial bodies of the physical sun and the physical moon, but they are abodes populated by gods. And those gods that live on the sun are gods of the sun, and those gods that live on the moon are called gods of the moon. So this is how some texts will refer to the sun and the moon, which is similar to saying the continent of Australia is populated by Australians. So the concept is similar to that.
And Nima said, Dawa said, the Niki, Haji Mirisha, Larisha, Simjeda. Tizola, and the Koranzuki, Desetike, Jekamba, where she will take and the Sarivia, Gabriel and the Wuncha, Manzolia, Gabriel and the Wuncha, Gabriel, where you teach Hegoro, the members of Koranzo, Lenesa Delia, Gedina, where you watch it. Nagura Chai Medic and Gedina, and the Koranzo, Supulina, where you watch it. Supulu Wayaba. The names are Coronzilla Way. Chesa Dines and Coronzilla, Supulu Wayaba, and Zankawan, Chicoronzilla, Similia, Chikian Power with that Delana Chiorua, Denigi, and Coronzilla, Denigal Hebu, Nimana Dawati, Coronzo Page, Twinkie Yabu, Coronzo Desa, Kansatiki, Nepe, waiting the way you take, Coronzo Lule in a way you take. That call you the Yebemasa Sangma, you are down to some time. The Nikipe, the Yungores, that the Yungore, the Ina, that the Sunyama, Sunam Sabe, Sunam Yetures. Tis not that they do Sunam Yetu, Minje, the Minje, said Dele, Yanka, Sunam Sa, Kesho, Tubia, Yamna, Yapo Majabaina, and Yama Sunam Sa, Devo to sort of waters, nobody sort of waters. Tis not Yanja, Denig, Yusaba Masabaina, and Shinikawa Kiwalingerson, then Ma Kiwale, Ma, Yana, Naso Kiwada, Yana, Yawa, Yana Chiki, Chi work in a Subolo way making, then as a milk Kiwa in that Naso Kiwa, Tunga, Tundro Kiwa, and Subolo way Maba, and a chick, Nima way, the Nima Shawala, Nima, where the Tingo Chagoro, Nima way that man, then no one on the Joga Shawar, she's a Mumberto, your essay, this year. She's unconjugi, the Niki, Tewa, Noyaki, Tewatiki. Tembu yomba, tengi dewa, tembu maiba res, yanta pe dewa de mares, shisa dene za ko yuwa choya yore, gyur chene ma we mekang cha choya chago res.
The meaning here, though, is the sun and the moon refer to gods, or literally children of gods. So the sentient beings. So they are said to reside on the sun and on the moon, and so these sentient beings that are gods, their abode is always in light. Because whilst for us the sun sets and the moon rises, for them, because they are said to live on the sun and the moon, this of course is never the case, so they always experience the light of the moon or the light of the sun. But moreover, their own bodies emanate light. So therefore they are always surrounded by light from the environment and from themselves. And these particular children of gods, they experience great mental joy. So they experience a tremendous amount of pleasure and joy. And their environment is magnificent in a way that we cannot even comprehend. So this is the literal meaning of sun and moon here. But the meaning that we are to take from this is that all happiness that is achieved comes about in dependence on the accumulation of virtue. And when that virtue is exhausted, it is finished. And in that period, whilst one is experiencing the pleasurable results of virtue, if one doesn't accumulate at least a merit or virtue of a similar strength, then when the virtue that one is experiencing is exhausted, there will be no similar virtue to replace that. And that means that one will take rebirth in a realm of far greater suffering, a lower realm than one is in. And this is because the merit that has led to all this happiness and pleasure of a good rebirth has been exhausted. So literally in the case of the children of the gods, the sun and the moon gods, when they die and if they fall to the lower realms, they achieve a body of whether it's a human or an animal or a spirit or a hell being. Their body no longer emits light, and therefore their bodies have turned into one of darkness. So that again is a literal meaning here. But the actual intended meaning is that happiness is unstable. Worldly happiness is transient. And worldly happiness is unstable. And whilst one has it, it's imperative not to be deceived by it, but rather to use this opportunity to accumulate virtue.
That is all. Nimanda Dawasela.
These the sun and the moon, the gods of the sun and the moon, these children of the gods, these are gods of the desire realm.
Yeah. Denigi, that Nimada Dawasel, Hanimada Dawaseti, that Injimiji, Azule, La Chiran, Yumara, Lamawe, Lanimas like a Lamawo Yura, Ladawa like a Lamawo Yura, the Dawaset, and Azuk, the mean Dawada, the Mumba Dawa, the Nima Dawaseti, Dinganzuk Dash, Ming Dasher, the Nigi, Lamawo Yura, the Nigi. Chenyamne yaboji yure de benedina nima san yujum de she shubi kabla chenyamne chindi ni ji nima la nima de sugi ya san yujum de le jiwa shune na san yujum de yuson shebe do yore de nime do sigre de ne ya la dawa se de ni ya san yujum de kabla ya chu san yujum de ya jiwa shune san yujum de ya de sul ya son shebe do yore de so dawe do se nime do da dawe do se da karme do se de ne mangbo de ne ke la ya mi Nimadan, Dawadan, Karma says Yurwa, Denigi, and Kashi, Denigi, Yumne Yabuchike, and Chuyamne San Jimne, she should be Kaplan, San Yatimne, Chu, Yamlenche, Denia San Jim Hamawati, San Jimne Dele, Tikara Carriers in Jewishu, and San Jimne Oditiri, Mason Shebe, Denigi, Nime Dosada, David Dosada, Karme Dosada, Mamboy.
We should, so whilst we have here sun and moon, so this is singular, we should understand that as these are children of gods, then there are many, there's a multitude, so we should understand that these are sentient beings, and they are in the plural, not singular. And so amongst these gods of the sun and gods of the moon, there's quite some variety. So there are amongst them some who are Dharma practitioners, who have an interest in the Dharma. And at the time of Buddha Shakyamuni, these gods of the sun and of the moon, there were some who asked the Buddha questions. And the Buddha's response comprised sutras. So there's the sutra of the sun, there's a sutra of the moon, there's also a sutra of the stars. So these were all answers given by the Buddha to questions from these gods. So therefore we should understand sun and moon as plural. There are many different gods there, some of whom have an interest in the Dharma.
Kolo yuwe gyabo, degi pa jendu gyawa yosu, yobol gyawa yorese. Kolo yuwe gyabo sun, da zembli yonzo ge wangdu tuyde gyabo shaya na, zembli ma se na li da la da dini ge la le ya mangbo yorwa, dini ge shido wangdu tuyde gyabo chasang zembli mi yonzo da, la la sopa dini ge wangdu tuyde gyabo chadu. Dini gyabo digi ne, pe wangdang chenpo, da top chenpo, Beijing Jixida Yam Shu Ying Digi Mango Shu Yuroda, Conos, Denigi, called Benjo Tone, Gangame, Wangchi Tone, Gangame, Digi Shu, Yuyor, the Ina, and Jik Yanselia, Lam Yamlin, Jacom, Yamlu, Majeba Ina, the Sugi Kiwanga Mageti, Wanda Chimboda, Denigi. Chasang want you to yag, Nubo Yoba, Kiwanga Magi, Sunam Sabi, Sunami Tibure. Chasang imagine Yanjet Sedelia, Kejo Sabas, Masavan, Tisutingi Dewa Mares, Sina Deneza, Ma Shine, on a part, Joe, Miyokia, Mida, and me Yoporosina, Yan Li Yoporo, the nigga Semjen Duro, Gage, me Yopojuada, the nature Lagalia, then me and me Yopoju, Ganga, Dinana Javores, Chesang. Denigi Chichiwa Dewan in the Timbuyo Mares, Chisan de Gurchen Pa Yobo, Gana, Chapoyagi, Juajer, Chisan Deneza, Koloju, Kewalimbe, Dewadikina, Yanda Betewa de Mares, Chisan Dizu Gurche, Tichelia, Dunga, Yoyagi, Yungo, Chisan, Ting, Yanda Bekewa Mares.
En ik kon het kolok geweke op de kon de kam kilare kan det som pimpe de kam kilare jag menar
de kam kilare da mi ki she me kolok ju ge bo se de zamling chasang wang de tu she ge bo che da lei ko de ge wang de tu she ge bo che tu ye ge de ge bo chi yu sar wa de ne.
Now looking at the first line in the 18th verse, the universal monarch can be reborn as a servant. So a universal monarch, or often translated as a wheel-turning king, is a sentient being with inconceivable power over as the king of gods as well as humans. And having such power, such inconceivable power, of course he has incredible wealth and resources, and therefore experiences tremendous happiness. But even such a king can be reborn as a servant. So the meaning of this line then is similar to what we've covered thus far. That incomparable happiness that can be experienced among sentient beings. This only comes about in dependence on causes that have been accumulated in previous lives. And as these causes are impermanent and those causes have now ripened into results, those results will change momentarily and will end. Therefore, this happiness that is being experienced, even such great happiness that appears to be long-lasting, is unstable, it's transient. And at the time of death, if similar causes haven't been accumulated, a very different result will be achieved, will follow. As we can see here, someone with such great power can end up as a servant, a being with no power. So the meaning is to not be deceived by the happiness and the delights of samsara. Do not see this as complete and perfect happiness, happiness that is worthy of striving for. This happiness is unstable, it's transient, it will end and it will be followed by suffering.
Denigi zemli yonzo wangdo gyurduken gyabo chik chaye bege lugyuro chik nyanzo jikyarwe she.
There are many stories about these wheel-turning kings. But I imagine that these haven't come across to Australian culture.
get up looking on the assembly or Chasang want to teach Gabo Jian Gabo Yuan looking at
But whether historians agree with this, I don't really know.
Then the Zamlu also want to do Kiabo Cha, Digi, the hot top shoe Chawaza, then the Halaya Marjapche, Ladiki, who want to do Kiabo Cha, Chago, Kiabo Chago, research. Denigi, that Yamadua, that colloquy with Kiabo Junior, that is Mahomba and the Jungu research, Higurua.
Denigi, Allah, ne, the young person.
Colloquy with Kiabo said, Zamblunale, Chigi, Maja, Jakab Chasa, want to do it. Yakab Chassan want to do it, what you check is. That is Yakab Chad, who wanted Chimbo, the board of Shu Chavans, Talia Magic, me want Chassan want to do Sarada. That's so higher as they will have. They will have a market, they will have this way who want to do want to do two boards. Says that the Niki of Chachi or Resor. Says that Yamadi, Yamanima de Junior Resor, Mohobana in the Jungu Resor.
Bendigo, then he comes later and do Maki Abdu, Topken Sure.
Meeting assembly me what doesn't give a shadow. That isn't quite my Sulala Magic. It's not quite top judging, large as I want to want my.
So the stories that we know from the sutras, perhaps you can relate to in the sense that this is a being who had great power and influence and used it with military might to conquer ever more lands, to the point where it was said that he controlled the whole world. And then, maybe you could say, drunk with power of being the ruler of the world, he then even fought with the gods and beat the gods, and therefore became the ruler of humans and gods. And so there are stories that this has happened in the past, and that these kind of rulers will come again in the future.
Yeah. That de lula dine yiche jang palbe topra minibes.
And continuing in the 18th verse, these can be known by means of scripture, but cannot be perceived by ordinary beings.
Is not the Jing of the Torigel Halaya, Hada Miliki, then it in the part my Dewa Shunyo, then my Shizian, Nason Kiawala Dunganyoyada, Yali by Jacenta, Nimada, Koloki, Kiabokonto do, Dewa Nova and Yajima, Chikoshu, Chade, Denis, Yoyati, Nanzuki, Pabiga, some Dane. Doyle Kali Haburi, study couple of Manzuki. Says that Dines and Anzulia, Sanji Sunship, Lul by Yicheva, Sanji Sunship, Donado, Sunship, Ichi Kanya Cherry, Mado, and then Anzuki, that is some Tanan Anzuki, Lord Chumar, Dotu Marejito, Kajem, the Lula in the Yicheka, Denigi, Sanji Sunshabatella, Denis Sunsha, and Ichi Cherry, Mado, Palbe Topper Minibes, and Anzunajin Papa, that Chigi, Namchigi, Sherapia, Mapevanza, Descent Dotu Mares, Donu Mares.
So these illustrations that we've had in the preceding few lines, such as about the god Indra and the gods of the sun and the moon, as well as about the universal monarch, these are difficult for ordinary beings to realize ourselves. So really, for us, the only way that we can relate to it is through having our trust in the sutras, trust in the Buddha and the teachings of the Buddha, because it is difficult for us to perceive these things and therefore to know from experience that such beings exist in these fabulous circumstances as has been described.
Chagi Ribe Chagi Marelane, Dine Yong Sibachirwa, Danga to get some Stavine, Jinema, Inglingi, Jamanguchi, Dush, and Manguchi want to use Sarvada. You know, want to dinner, want to look Mangul, want to you are the hand, Gili Gilici, Goyan, Ransen, Shorts, and Panyamchara, Chimbarwada. And then Penekahal Mason, Jahana Loya, Nima, Jahana, getting horns, Gabu Manguada. She's not Denigi, Chasan. 인링 계셔서 와도 뒤 되는 디젤이야 대양사 자할 개보 세네메스네 bombo 징마도 자려요 말아 차상 와도 직차도 개대 망보 지 내년만 인링 개 망보 저 와도 뒤요래 에 덴디스파 지파 직직랑선데 하지파지 다들 냠차로 차워라 냠아지 지산 발갑질이야 개 망보 좀 와도 뒤투로와 지산 되네 삼다바이나 또 전에 거 저게 개합 직직 마잡제 개합 차상 zemle 차사 망보나 와도 뒤 to Mares la 2 years came to other.
So whether these stories that we read about are literally true or not, well, we can't say with any certainty. But perhaps a more skillful way to relate to them is to look at the meaning and see how that perhaps relates to the history that we do have trust and conviction in. So if we think about the British Empire, the British Empire ruled, I think it's like a quarter of the world. So they, at the height of the power of the British Empire, it could be said that the British Empire fulfilled the role of a wheel-turning king, in that it had so much power over the world. But look what happened. After not that long, really within a century, that power waned and was lost. And the place that the UK is in now, compared to it was 120 years ago, is completely different. And if we think further back in history to the kingdoms in Rome and Greece, we can imagine that it being felt there that the world was ruled by these people. And there are many other kingdoms in Asia as well, where it would have been believed that the world was being ruled by this nation. But that too changed, and those powerful nations those nations with really inconceivable power, that was lost. So in this way, we can come to understand these analogies better.
How quiet is your that is Lada, the Cology, Yabosia, Dizuki, Shedi, Manzugi, Hako 12 Maras Castle, Council, that is how I get Nubayo Maras, Chisandiso, and Sanji Sunshabatili, Ishizam Chia Remato, and Azuki, Semi and Ebany, Chick around to get Jabachine or 2 yadi, Kalam Kako Hesur. Then also Hako 2 yadis or that didn't my 6 hours. Rana mi gyua des, then Anzugli, Rana mi gyua de, mi chupo jangpo joy, join duxa, Kajabo shampo join duxa, mi mobo chito join duxa, Della soba semi capsule.
So whilst we can only really relate, whilst we have no direct experience of these stories in the sutras, we can relate to them through our trust in the Buddha, as well as to looking at the meaning and seeing how that does exist in our understanding of world history. Because the key point to these examples from history is at the time those people would have felt that situation of power and influence was going to last, that the sun wouldn't set on those empires, but it always did. So therefore, not to be deceived by worldly happiness. And this is the meaning of those stories. So in this way, we can have some experience of what's recounted in the stories. So then, beyond mere sutra, beyond relating to them through our trust in the scriptures and the Buddha, how can we relate to them? And here we continue in the text. Therefore, observe your own experience of human-level changes. A rich man turns into a poor man. A confident man changes into an anxious one. Many people unite together as one. The list of such phenomenon is inconceivable.
Rana mi yuwa de sile ngāzuki, da zembli ngāzuki jihab pensuinde, sosu jihab nala de, sosu lumba nala de, denegi mi yuwa ma uji dhuguwa res, ngāzu tongguwa res, rānāng se ngāzu nanguwa ngāzu tongguwa res, mi yuwa choba de, delba chik kyanzu ngazu gi diniki de da so de ne jeba che da so jeba che sho so rana mi yuwa de se ngazu gi tong de hi ngazu gi ha go de gi mi ngazu gi hab chik na ina da zambli na le na mi yuwa kan su chu yu me de ngazu li de da de le jeba che sho so de da so rana mi yuwa de se.
Therefore, observe your own experience of human level changes. So this is important when we engage in analytical meditation. We need to use our own experience as well as what we observe, and in this way we can understand the transient nature of worldly happiness. So we've seen in our own lifetimes, and we know from history, how the mighty fall, and we see this through empires, through nation states, and even individuals with great power, but in their own lifetime, that is lost. And perhaps on the same or lesser scales with ourselves, we also have experience of this. So it's important in our analytical meditation to relate to the topics personally through our own individual experience as well as what we ourselves observe.
Dan se dang zo ge du jeba che de de mi chu bo zhang bo zhuo zhuo yin du xiu da ji zang du da de nga zo ya ye ha bre nga zo lum ba na ba du sing zo xim ju che de dang bo be mi de ge chu bu yin ba che be chu bu che kang ba da mo da da de ni ge chu bu du lo de ge sa ya to ya bo xiu yo chu bu yin ba che den de ji chu bu ka ble ya khong zo ge nga zo ge de USB ko de wa nyo ya da di gi yo xiu xiu ro wa then na chik du ka sam chi ya pe bang go cha ju shu cha de tong ya du wa so chi za dang bo khong chu bu che khong zo le za ya dong ya dang khong zo tun gen pe ya bo zo khong zo le di gi shi bu chu ya res ta ka sam chi ya bang go cha ju shu cha ya du ane ka so ne ta ju cha de nye ma ane chi ge du ma me ka nga me de ju de ta sa ya dong ya ka nga du lo ka nga de ni ge da chi wang shi me be ka nga de ni le yo de ni 동아 용도 하 제자님아 주부에 되어서 미 주부 되게 정부 되게 주부 제도 qabla 되기디 때문에도 와서 제가 유아로선 제일야 방과 차야 아주 통야도 와서 진짜 강한 용도 와서 왔다.
And then in the 19th verse, a rich man turns into a poor man. So here again, we utilize our own experience, either personal or what we observe, to turn theory to turn our knowledge of the Dharma from theory into something experiential. So we will have observed how those who are incredibly wealthy, who want for nothing materially and have the best of everything, we can perceive that they probably experience a lot of worldly happiness. They wear the comfortable clothes, have a very comfortable living environment, delicious food. But whilst experiencing all that happiness, it is not stable. Not only do they experience problems whilst wealthy, but that wealth can be lost. And we have observed this in the world, that when there's been a complete turnaround in an individual or family's financial situation, they can end up destitute. So this happens fairly often to various levels. And the meaning here is that happiness, worldly happiness, is unstable, it's unreliable, it's not something we should allow ourselves to be deceived by. So this is the meaning here, and we can relate this through our individual experience and what we observe.
Bene chik yunden chimbu yuesya dan dene ki chik dike be gyata chimbu dike ne wangshi chimbu shu che chen an gangsam jilya di wangshi chimbu dene ki chik yudu gyata dan wangshi yudu kabla yang soso liya chik tunki nare mi zirongay na chik haran soso le diki shi yungures ina di diki di tembus kaya mar gangsam jilya yang chik dene ki ma chik kajiwe ne mi chacha ma shawa che be gyogo cha do wa de yonggo wa de bombo khashi wa ne wang che chenpo shu che be ji lo ma wo che gang zhen ji le zhen gang na zu je gang ga shu ji mi su ji ge ji ge tong me ji de ne gang ga shu li go wa je zhen de ne ge tong ya do wa so de.
confident man changes into an anxious one. So here we can understand confident as someone with great power and a reputation that means people respect them and listen to what they say. They enter a room and people are captivated by them and pay great heed to what they have to say. So therefore, people with great influence in our world. And we know people either who have this through mere fame or through the political sphere or business. And so whilst they have all this power and influence, then this will produce some happiness in their lives. But this happiness, this status, it is not stable. And we have illustrations that we've observed where the situation of power and influence is lost. And perhaps they end up convicted for corruption or other crimes and end up in jail where they have no influence anymore, or they fall from grace and are humiliated, have no power and influence, and people shun them. They certainly do not want to hear what they have to say. So again, we have illustrations that we've observed how worldly power, prestige, happiness is not stable. It does not last.
Dene mi mangbo jigdu joyin duksyo. Danga zuge jig mi mangbo jigdu joyin duksyo da sosol ya kor dang yobo dang sosol yapyor mi mangbo ji yewe sosol gawo ji mangbo ji yewe na an di ringli ya sosol jig bawa ji dang jig wang ji yewe sosol ne jig digi ngal ya kor mangbo yimi an jig ngal ya yapyor ji ngal ga han mangbo si be ge da bobo ro da dene ge digi ro shoro nen de se tempo yo mare la an ga sam jig ya du chin mi an jig sosol ge yapyo mangbo yewe na jig chide ba chide yap ni chide yap den ma chen den sosol yapyo je nyung cha den je ma yapyo ji ge meba cha yung res dine yidu kabla sosol ya dungada oda ngal ya jigi men ngal ya sibe sosol wang cha la sosol ge nyuba me de sosol ka nga yung res je dine je ka nga yung res ane ya ji 저기 다치게 소소라 되네 거우체 망고에나지 마간든 지기 지대야 니 지대야 소소라 가한디 뉴뉴 조데 안 소소라 한지게 로마데와 마기와다 강알리게 그래서 되네들이 아니 미망보를 지겨베나 돼서 아니 소소기 되기 되네 겨베나 띵부요 말레스 비와도 디젤이야 동아용 거래 진짜 되네기 되와되기나 띵이 되와 양다 바데 말레스 거래
And third line, many people unite together as one. So maybe before I translate what Genla said, it's perhaps useful to say that as with the previous line, and this one, Tibetan to English can often be a bit ambiguous, or we don't have words that specifically match. So therefore it's often the commentary doesn't match what we have in English. So now will be another illustration of that. But it also doesn't mean that what the translator, that what he translated is mistaken, because it can be read in different ways. So now again, there's commentary on the third line. So there, again, people with power and influence, like we saw in the previous line, they will be surrounded by people who serve them, employees or servants, as well as have, we'd say, many hangers-on, as well as friends. So they're surrounded by a retinue. There are always people who want to hear what they say, praise them, the situation that people with power and influence find themselves in. And this leads them leads to the rise of worldly happiness. But again, this is not stable. It doesn't last. And we can see this in the world, that people's situations change. That as someone's power and influence wanes, then those who surround them, either the employees, they no longer can employ as many people, they no longer can need so many servants, and then they start to lose the influence and the prestige that came with having so many people working for them, for example. And likewise, as their situation changes, it becomes clear amongst the vast array of friends, the very thick address book, how few of those people actually cared for them and were real friends and how many of them just disappear. And this then leads to tremendous suffering, realizing that one was deceived. This loss of power, this loss of influence, and the loss of the effects of that, such as having many employees and friends, this leads to great suffering. So here again we see how happiness, worldly happiness, is unstable, unreliable. And the experience that I'm sure that we all have here is that friendships that were once incredibly valuable to us, people that we were very emotionally close to, those friendships come to an end. And we end up either having a very negative relationship, or we just lose contact. So too, that happiness that we've experienced in our relationships with others, this is not stable, it ends.
미망보 유베네 다 데니게 삼다지 가르스네 다 디디소 세보라시도 아간저기 대사 지게 레제바 시림발라데 저 소소로 와셔다 벤저다 디지리 갈래야지 소소기 내가 잡겨라 망보지 외셔 제가 망보레 봄바차나 다시 소소기 레가데 따따 마지바 장보바 야부 마제도 아니 제마레 미잡겨디 파텐제 안소소 외셔셔 와체메 데니 미규만님도 다시 줘도야 데니 유주도 갑다 강아요라 니마 와체 첨부 안 시시로 휴시 된저도 나 미규마 수시기 지케메도 규미기 나신 지어도 다 셈려 강아요로와 제가 지송한 저게 통שו수기 바자리가 저기 다야 지금 망보연의 지부 차제 강아요래서야지 당연히 미사질 차베네 미사질에 당보한 저기 소수기 분야다 먼저 보다 되는 거 미망보라 쉬어봐지 되게 예디 갑래야 소소이나 아주 뒤에서 보고서도 왕체 쉬어봐지 안 가슴 지려야 지금 미티 파파 카톨 파파 카긴 전에 안 가슴 지려 소소 지구라 되는 야 갈래도 로봇이 해미되긴 소소 지구라 되가라 망물리거로 진짜 되네 저 당보가라 지금 아주 부다 보면 다 지치 차사 유에서비 안지 가로다 차사 유에서 보고로다 소소 김나려 되네 기부여 안 가슴 지려 파 직직 맞음 니 맞 파파 카톨 파 카카카 차 파 다른 분의 카카 차들도 안 소소 지막 가슴 지려 소소 지구라로 그래서 제가 지불 하되까 소소 강아 되네기 대신 예마게 되기디 템부여 말 교화 친세다 소소 지불 하되네 강아 리고래 진짜 되네 인자 아 저게 통해야 될이야 되네기 교화로야 뭐 통해야 도와서
where we can see illustrations of this third line, many people unite together as one, is if you imagine the situation of a politician, especially a politician with great power, a cabinet minister or a prime minister. Whilst they are in office, they are surrounded by people who want to hear what they say, who react to what they have to say. Wherever they go, people pay attention to them. They walk into a room, everyone looks, everyone listens. Then they lose an election. Their situation changes overnight. If they were in a government official accommodation, they booted out immediately. Wherever they go, people will still recognize them, but they may snigger behind their back, they may, at their loss of power and influence. What they have to say, maybe some people will want to hear, but people won't pay much attention and certainly they won't have much influence anymore. So with the loss of this power and prestige comes great suffering. The purpose of what they were trying to, of their life, will seem lost. And this is the case, we can understand, I think, quite easily in terms of politicians, but it will be certainly the case in others in business. And where we perhaps can have other experience, or we have observed, is when someone is, for example, in a loving relationship and they have many children and a happy, loving family. So they're experiencing happiness in this situation. But as the years pass and children grow up and they leave the home, maybe they leave the city, maybe they leave the country, and the family then gets dispersed through both movement and then through death. And then this happy, loving situation that one has quite quickly changes. And one can end up alone with nothing but one's memories, with one's loved ones not around oneself now when one is in need, and needing to be looked after and cared for. And all that one has left is long-distance correspondence and memories. So in this way we can come to understand how worldly happiness is transient, it doesn't last, and is followed by suffering.
And dela soba sami chapsen denigi dadiro mangu yore so be mangu yore sanga zo mili na dende sanga tonchu su gyoba denigi chik mangu yore su gyoba tikyo adi membe ge dundro la yorwa dang na zo ge pene ye senge ro china dang bo khron chik su bo tang tang yede kapla chik be si che ane simjen chasa koron ya she jue zhong so da andi koron ge suli na she na me ba che ko chik koron ti 지금 수부 대오라 지금 여러 왕세로 있다. 지금 코로나야 보보시 여러 코로나 대화 중국으로 봐. 나 되게 디즈이 템부요 말 그래서 변에 교화신제 간전직례 수부 배 교보차도 되네. 심전 충충이 잔다게 투제다 코로나야 소게 강아 지금 지금 남보 소소게 왕지지네 배제 다산이야 투제다야的现在 코로나 배 디기 용거데 간zam제 템부요 말 지금 간zam직례 심전 현다 충충게 코로나야 사야다 소게다 강아제다 디동원 지금 디네장 강아지 용거 지금 양아지 밀려 여러 눈조라 여러 달래 용거디네.
The fourth line, this list of such phenomenon is inconceivable. So this alludes to that we need to reflect on this extensively from our individual experience as well as from what we observe. And we need, in this inconceivable list, we need to certainly look at human experience, but also the experience of beings in other realms. So for example, we think of, in the realm of animals, if we think of a lion, the king of the jungle, clearly a being that walks with great confidence and strength and power, and others fear the lion. And we think of the lion that's a leader of a particular pack, that is an animal with tremendous prestige and power and influence in that pack. But that too, that situation of power, whilst will be seeming almost permanent to that lion, this will change. It can change from when they age and their power weakens and they get surpassed by a younger male. And then they lose a combat and they leave wounded. And tremendous suffering will follow. Or their situation can change from something quite innocuous, like an insect bite, and from that an illness arises and they die. So all these situations of worldly pleasure do not last. They change, and they change quickly. It's the case for humans, it's the case for animals, it's the case for gods and all beings.
그런 저기 류롱주에 되게 배 코리오 되게 장마슈 우지 하고 예바지 되네요. 다 윤리보다 아주 그런 저기 세이 세세 되게 배 체릉부래. 진짜 되네게 윤리보 시고 롱주에게 되게 예바네. 대소에 템보요 말해서 간점질이 뉴르체네 동아리 그래서 진짜 되네 인자 할이야. 로망부링리야 나 저기 미진의 로 동라망부게 체릉보지 그런 저 되게 코리오 장마다 직되네 되게 여러데 이네야. 마 할이야 가르강하였으네 시로지 치디 치보이게 시로집이 동화몽골이게 돼서 시대 나라 중국에 제가 동화 되네게 동화몽골인 그래서.
So when we approach this meditation, we should utilize our individual experience as well as what we perceive in the human world. So this is of great importance. And then we take it further to also unseen beings such as gods. So those such as, for example, the desire realm gods, they have comforts that are inconceivable to what draws us so, attracts us so. They have lives which are far longer than humans. Their lives in human years are said to last thousands of years. Moreover, they have an abundance of resources that are inconceivable to a human being, and thereby experience tremendous pleasures. But all of this ends. All of this ends. And it's said that as the time of death of a god approaches, then they experience in the final stage of their life tremendous suffering that surpasses in the impact on the being the great pleasure that they've experienced for these thousands of human years. That great pleasure is surpassed by the tremendous suffering that they experience as their death approaches.
Ma da shiro chi de karli yorsne taksan ro shima son lui la lui ben we de ke pa nyam je lui ke khado de ke pa gyur ro ya dang ane so so ge deni gyur ro de da nyama ge lui pe changma da pe chi ke kha we ro shwe de da ma nyam ju we de ke chung ro de lui ke khado de ke pa gyur cha de de sem che shu jung go da gang a sem le gang a shu li go re 아니 아직 소속이 돼서 강바다 댄디기 닝거라 차제 내려야 되냐 맞춰봐 되면 봐 강아슈 댄 돼서다 되네 배치 쪽바라 차제 내려야 되냐 맞춰봐 강아 나 소속이 넘균 매도하기 창화다야 되게 매도 넘균디네 매도 창화디 닝거 차에 매차기 매서로 지나 되네게 다 시로지도 요거 시설에서 매도의 창화디 봐 닝거 차 내가 양직 셈제 강아 되네 수불이야 가서 소소 둘로디게네 닝바차노 둘로리 디마카디게 쪽바차야다 데네 차야도 데네 셈랴 강아 동아리 거르시 소소 주보디나 니마 예디 문나게 고마 다디마 저거 시설에서 시에게 딱선들레도 수보리아 문나게다 수보리아 디마카야다 데네리아 마세다 데네게 강아 살이야 데네게 치디기 강아세디 강아슈 니와 마신 강아슈리 그래제래 제가 네마디 마중엘이야 로망부리야 레이디기 망고냐 제가 레이디기 템부요 마레스코 양다베게 와데 마레스카 간즘질이 규르진 디젤이야 동아리 오레스 리도아 제가 데네자 레이디기 디게 되베글 레이 데네기 디게 아니 가소레 양다베게 와 대와 때문에 마레스 제가 규르 동아레스
Den konta konso dugel nga nanga shikosom konso he
가도 의주와 지시 된래야 미디바 자 지체 매도게 창화디게 매도 꼴래 매도다 창화 닝바 차야 지제 그 둘로디게 쪽바 차야 지제 되는 류래야 문나다 디마카야다 되는 지제 어디서 주로
as the time of death approaches for gods, then they experience tremendous suffering, and it's specified 5 types of suffering that desire realm gods experience. So they've lived for thousands of human years experiencing pleasure upon pleasure. Suddenly their situation changes. And this change of their situation, whilst to us it would seem either a bit fantastical, some of it, and others would seem to us ordinary. For them, it's the first time they're experiencing it, and therefore they experience tremendous mental anguish. So the light has radiated from their body, their entire lives of light has radiated from their bodies. That fades and extinguishes, and this causes tremendous mental anguish because they understand what this means. Secondly, their home environment becomes uncomfortable. It's said that the seat that they sit on becomes uncomfortable. But what that means is for the first time they're experiencing physical discomfort. This is a new sensation for them. Moreover, their home now starts to become dirty. And this too, they've never experienced this for themselves. And they understand the meaning of these signs. And thirdly, the flower garlands that ornament them, these start to age. Their body starts to sweat and smell, and their clothes, their radiant clothes, also start to age. So these, whilst to us would seem quite ordinary, these are experiences they've never had, and they know only come at the time of death, and therefore tremendous suffering arises for them. And the meaning then of this, the purpose of us reflecting on this is to remind ourselves that no matter how great the happiness that can be experienced, as long as that happiness is contaminated, as long as the being remains bound within samsara, That happiness is not stable, it doesn't last.
Tene Gewachima, Gawaki Yoba de Kronso, Moshiga Hagore, Tongore, Chesamoshi Tongue, Gewachima, and the Nason, Kiyobadan, Deniki, Kiyoba Tongana, Be Masadana did Maniki, Be Sasares, and the Dumashuli Gorege, Chesan Chipu, Gewa Limpiki, Deniki Dumadin Ungures.
And as the time of death approaches, and they're surrounded by the signs of their impending death, they have clairvoyance as to where their next rebirth will come. And for most of them, having spent a lifetime of delight, a lifetime of being deceived by joy, they haven't accumulated the causes for a good rebirth. And with their clairvoyance, they can tell where their future rebirth will be.
Dirantige Karishigore Labna, Anzuki, me, Diavatan, Lee, Diavatan, Anzuki, Chike, Korviki, Diavakazi, Chumana, Didiso, Diavadiki, Tembu Mares, Gurche, Dichelia, Duma Leungure, she's a Yantabeka Mare, she's not Diavadi Mare, she's not Dini, Diavazam Yangazupe, Delia Charge, Dikanga, some Duvana, Delia Tartu Mares, Diavayaka Tutu Mares. Chesan Dini did Deva Tembu Yomardas. Ramson Gurde Dunga Ligate, Teso. Lo Mangburoji Deva Nova in a Halaki, Lo Mangboji Deva Novena, and the Gansam Chile Gurjan Dunga Ligres. Chesan Deva Yantapa Temud Mares. That Dini is an answer like Karakukursen, Tingi Deva, Yantapa Deva, Deva's Gesevichel, Yuagune Joya made in Gigel, Dumagune, Mayaki Deva Gugores, did Dewa Toveg Dondala Peso Shegures or that Dondala Dishore, the Niki Dewa di Nanzuki, Tingi Dewa Toyaki Peso Shegures, Mother Negab Dewa, Jiktinel Hada mean Dewa Negab Dewa, sometimes even Tikanya, some Devan, Tingi Dewa Toyaka, some Kumares, the Madonna did Toyak Peso Chimaret. Chisanganzula, Carlos Lord Yatambachi, Dewa Jana, DJ Duanyona. Pandosh came into us. Chesanganzo, Dingy Dewa took it. Denigi, Korviki Dewa Dige, Emilia Dewa, Hali Dewa, Mongoy, this is Chesan Tembuyo, Mare, Yantabe Dewa, Matija, Duma Ligres, Chesan, Jun did in the Yores and Anzu Mojigore. That did Jun did the Yoba and the Jun may be Dewa, Dingy Dewa, the Carasco, the Tobio, the Tobio Yore, the Bezuchores. Di Anzulia, Dewal Mason, your hang out, and Dewa Dubare, Duma Midubar was. Chisan Dewa Goanza, Tingi Dewa to Rayaka touch Bezuchores. Duma Midubaza, Lomangbi, Dewanyon, Lomangbe, Duma, the Diam Meva so good, Tim, Di Maragate, that didn't touch Shigore, that don't that Dishigore.
So the purpose for this reflection on the suffering of transient pleasure is to completely transform our perspective, to lead us to examine and reevaluate our priorities. So this will come about through an honest reflection on the happiness that we desire and we crave and we strive for. We need to recognize what we know already from our own experience, our personal experience and our observed experience, that every happy state that we have experienced and others are experiencing is unstable, and it will change, and it will be followed by further misery, further suffering. And we need to understand this not just on an intellectual level, but on an experiential level, a level that does transform our way of thinking, transform our values, our priorities. We need to go through these reflections repeatedly over a sustained period, understanding that no matter what happiness can be experienced in the human world or even in the unseen worlds beyond, in the God realms, that happiness is unstable, it's unchanging. And we need to see that this happiness, whatever happiness we can potentially experience within samsara, within the stream of rebirths that have passed and will pass, this transitory happiness on its own has no value. And through reflecting like this, we start to change our perspective, start to see that to spend our life striving for momentary pleasures This is not living a life of meaning. Through this way we come to see that all the time and energy and the worry and anguish that's put in towards achieving momentary happiness is really not worthwhile. Rather, to fulfill this longing that we have for happiness, the happiness that we need to strive for is that the happiness that is beyond samsara, because that happiness is unchanging, that is lasting, that is stable. And so first we need to turn away through recognizing with our intellect that transitory worldly happiness is not worthy of striving for, and through this understanding overcome the deceptive nature of worldly happiness. And then secondly, see that there is something better to strive for, a happiness that is lasting and stable, and that alone is worthy of striving for.
negabki dewa zamre negabki dewa ngazo di bejuk tangu ngazo lia negabki be dewa re chisan di negabki dewa de duye gi gyudi ngazo gi ndupo go dewa chisa dene za ngazo gi miyu tardu de zo dingi dewa toyagi dingi doye gidina dewa toy miyu zo tisha lega toyagi zo di dingi dewa toyagi dewa toyagi la bezu che gores 제가 띵이 되어 토에 베즈체 발라다 동아 자자녀 되면은 띵이 되어 토에기 베즈체 투에 두고 말에 매반장한 주를 하다 미기 대화디 파 아주기 뇽제 내갑디 베제 땅고 그래서 나도 디띵 동아 가서 디규 동아래 매바 소가래 인지미직 될야 베제 땅교 말씀 거 말에 제가 디규에 동아세야디 미데 바레스 모체 체네 디네가 베제 땅야를 마도 띵이 차교 말에 지상한서 디네가 베제 땅제 띵이 되어 토야기랴 ल्या가디 디토야기 베제 쪼체 고래서 올다 되나라
In this, the reflection on the suffering of transient pleasure, we need to come to the conclusions that transient pleasure is unstable, it's deceptive, and therefore it's not worthy of striving for. Rather, we should strive for lasting, stable happiness. In addition then to those two conclusions, we need to be very clear that the temporary happiness of humans and gods, we do have a need for this. Because if we are overwhelmed by suffering, it is very different, if not impossible, to strive for lasting, stable happiness. So we need to be skillful and accumulate the causes that lead to transient happiness, happiness of humans and gods, but accumulate those causes with our objective clear. The objective is to achieve lasting happiness, stable happiness. But in order to be able to continue our spiritual development, we need to achieve the results which are worldly happiness or transient happiness, so as to be able to continue to strive for and achieve our objective. But throughout this whole process of accumulating both causes as well as of experiencing results of transient happiness, to not be deceived by this, to not think that this is the goal worthy of striving for, but rather to use this situation to accumulate the causes that will result in lasting, stable happiness. So in this way, we use our intelligence to accumulate the causes for transient happiness in order to be able to continue our spiritual development and achieve lasting happiness.
안지기 캬베 강아 둥아지 둘로다 튕기 매베 강아에나 고추주 띵기 대화 토액이 냠는 제 고코라고 말아 매반자 콜리아 안 로호치니 내가 콜라칼라다 칼라기 로바체나 튕기 로바체 나네 제야도 콜레 내가비 디기로 주용 제가 내가비 디기 주 내가비 디기 주요도 되네 고 류다 데셈나 뢰뢰유데 되네 고 띵기 대화 토액이 돈다라야 최 냠는 제야나 비수치 줘야 돼 되네 고마 제 고래제 아주 미유 자위 미유티 소소게 샬로 로바체바이네야 그 디기 띵기 대화 토백이 된다래야 아니 니 냠내 제주가 돈달이야 안 내가 류티기다 셈티기 셈기우야게 비 델레 디기줍 가서 디기줍 되네 디기줍 되네 디기여베 디땡려야다 띵기 대화 토야게 냠내 제주야 돼 배제제고 제고래서 지난 되네 인상 당황을 주기 다들 교회 동화세야디 코르위기 대화 잠들이 대화디 사제 대화 지난 디 배제 땅제 디참 장야 삼마되어지 디 배제 땅에 당길이야 맞아 가르 주보르선 쪼티 띵기 대화 토야를 배수치고 해시고래다.
And similarly, when we encounter others who are experiencing tremendous overt suffering, then whilst this is of course suffering relating just to this one life, we should still help them. We shouldn't say, "Oh, this isn't the main thing. The main thing is striving for liberation. So therefore, the suffering that you experience is of no importance." When people are impoverished and they're struggling to feed themselves and their family, or they have insufficient material resources to care for themselves and their family, with such problems, those problems will obsess them, will dominate their mind, and they'll put all their time and energy into trying to stay alive. So they will have no opportunity. They will have no opportunity to engage in spiritual developments, and moreover, in order to overcome these very overt problems, they may well engage in negativity. For example, stealing food so that they can feed themselves and their family. So therefore we should help people who are suffering in this way, because if we are able to help them sufficiently so that they can overcome these very coarse worldly problems, then on one hand they are hopefully not likely to engage in non-virtuous behavior, and at least then they have the space, the mental space, and perhaps the opportunity to accumulate virtue, to accumulate the causes that will lead to happiness. So therefore, we need to use whatever comforts that we have in samsara in a skillful way to ensure that we continue our spiritual progression and to be of benefit to others.
Kurve dewa chekore, jizan dene ge ngazu beje tang che, an tingi dewa tobe ya, beje gana chegiri lamna, dati gana chegiri lamna, dati ngazu ge samlu nali ya, samlu juwa tang che, gom nyamlen che che, beje top kore ma do, shen tapshi kaya ma, ngazu samlu juwa tang kore, samlu juwa tang beje tang kore lare. Daja samlu juwa tang ya de gana tang kore lamna, ana ngazu ge, da namyun nyamlen che dire, da ngazu ge, 류가 있으면 예제도 비 수심 소야당 진바 수전 쇠바 전적인 냠내자 내가 학과도 다 되니 띵이지 신의 줍제 신의 줍 신의 띵이진 템부 줍제 근데 신의 띵 줍세에 제일 안는 가지고 동반이라 근데 동이 또 다음에 또 비셔라 델야 동반이를 미베시라 수조금 내내 공부할 때네 저기 녀모데 축충줄 당제 탈바도 그래 제가 되는 상한 저기 매주 띵이 되어 토백이 냠는 제에 가는 지고를 하나 같이 쪼르스 때 저기 쪼디 지고래 신의 주야 돼 띵이진 신의 주다 셔랍 냠는 지고 내가 님도 로디다 진바 추준서버 전에 냠는 지고래 지난 내내기 냠는 야고 중요하라 내내기 다등한 저기 동아의 뉴의 동아디게 바시 동아디라 하신래샤 되니게 강아 디테데 타고도 사비 삼목슈 첨부질래봐 있나 내 얘기도 톱되게 되니게 숙체리그래 되니가 같이 숙체래나 니 토야게 되나 베제디 냠내디 숙체제도 그래서 디 베제 냠내 숙체제에 가르스네 신의 주에 띵에서 거냐 진짜 어다디 마선 땡아 띠마방던 마 탑은 제자 되는 토야라 띵이진도 공고도 선배 신의 주보도 선배 샘슈 셔리그래 신의 주에게 샘슈 가서 체래나 신의 주야래야 고 교화두고라 아다데 샘슈 체나 당아 마다든 주드마도 제만에 가래 하고 체래 선배 신의 주야래야 안 타냐를 차야다 되네게 신의 주인데 되네 진바 추주수배 냠는 제야 되게 숙체를 주고 그래 제자 되네서 네 냠는 제체는 답을 주고 그래 세래다
So we've spoken a lot then about worldly happiness or the suffering of transient pleasure. And I've mentioned again now, as I did last night, how to use this skillfully. So how does one go about achieving worldly happiness? One needs to accumulate the specific causes. But to put this in brief, to achieve worldly happiness, as well as transient happiness, both transient pleasure as well as the happiness of liberation, the only way to achieve this is to change our way of thinking. To change our way of thinking, mental transformation. In other words, one needs to engage in meditation based on knowledge. Other than this, there is no way to achieve liberation. So in terms of achieving the causes that lead to worldly happiness, so this we've mentioned in the past many times, one needs to develop the ethical conduct, the mind of restraint that restrains our mind, keeps our mind ethical, and thereby our physical and verbal behavior as ethical. And these need to be conjoined with the minds of generosity and patience in order to achieve causes for worldly happiness, good rebirths. But to achieve the goal of greater meaning, the goal of lasting stable happiness, these four causes instead of are no longer seen as primary causes but branches. And the primary causes become the development of single-pointed concentration, the mind of calm abiding, as well as the wisdom realizing emptiness. So these two, concentration and wisdom, are the primary causes for liberation. But in order to develop concentration and wisdom, they need to be supported by the practices of generosity, ethics, and patience. And as one develops in particular this mind of wisdom, one's afflictions proportionately weaken. And as one experiences both a strengthening of one's wisdom, understanding reality, and thereby the weakening of strength of the afflictions, we can start to see how our way of thinking is being transformed and our way of reacting to situations is being transformed. And this gives us the conviction that liberation is approaching, because the mind that is liberated from suffering, we are approaching the attainment of that mind. But in order to give rise to the particular practices that lead to liberation, the practices of the development of the mind of single point and concentration, as well as the mind that is the wisdom realizing emptiness, one has to have particularly strong conviction to achieve these minds, a strong aspiration to achieve liberation. Without this overwhelming aspiration to achieve liberation, one's efforts to develop concentration and wisdom will be insufficient. In order to give rise to the aspiration, this strong, overwhelming aspiration, one needs these branch practices of ethics, generosity, and patience, as well as repeated reflection on the sufferings of samsara, as has been presented here. And when one has done these reflections in a way that has transformed one's way of thinking, one will have an understanding that if we don't utilize this opportunity that we've achieved, that has come with this precious life, we may well not get such a good opportunity again. Well, to put that in brief, if we don't use it now, then when will we? There will not be a better opportunity than what we have now. So therefore we need to engage in these meditations as has been outlined thus far.
Kala draw chimbo chishi nyonche draw chishimura chile yan so dewa chili gora dan jigan dulo masono sosugi dulo ninjo da den soso dewa chikwen hande kwenbi dele rayonde en dele ya jiglule tempe dewa chili gora desa denige an dishimbo teniki lule tempi lugi wangshele tempe de mangche dene rwada ben benjor so kor yu teniki cha dirwa ta nga jule nga jule dewa yong de lushile tempe dewa de mangche rida ta nga jugi dewa de semle tempi sem nya gom che tinge je gom nyamlen che sem yi thone gom che ne dewa yong de nga zu be nyuar ro che za nga dene yenza 대화니 디 가르고서 류레 템베 대화디 뉴바 총아 저거 셈라 템베 대화디 숙체 저거래 그래서 당한 저기 디레
근데 타마데 가르 숙체야 돼
셈라 템베 대화디 숙체래
되네
예르디 마시소
So we currently find ourselves deceived by desire for worldly happiness. And as we've been hearing, that worldly happiness is what is meant by the suffering of transient pleasure. So this we seek out, we long for in many different forms. For example, the joy that we experience when we're in a pleasing company, when people are speaking pleasantly to us or about us, they're praising us. We desire the pleasure that comes from delicious food, from new possessions such as lovely clothing, and even from something as innocuous as pleasant smells, as the fragrance of flowers. So all these forms of happiness we desire and we seek out. The difficulty that we have is a far more powerful happiness, the happiness that comes with a mind of single points of concentration, the mind of calm abiding. This is something that we don't have experience of in this life, and in past lives we likely not to have limited experience of. So amongst the various types of happiness, the happiness that comes through physical pleasure and the happiness that comes for mental pleasure, of the two, the stronger is that of mental happiness.
내가 저기 엔세텔에 내가 저기 지킬라다미 텐텔이야 지금 저기 Geshe Thubten Rabten kom nyamlenche tendinga 저기 람komche nyamlenche네 소술야 디 대화게 디 스팅에서 컴퓨터기 소술야 대화 셈ля 대화 용하지 대수 대화디게 람komche nyamlenche네 소술야 셈리 대화 용하디 디 교화줘야마 디 기디나 대화마도 디 람콤 nyamlen집에 대화기에 디 젤야 동화용하요 말에 진짜 되네자 저기 대소야 가서 미 텐텔라 미 대화로 최고래 이내야 람냠렌제 곰제 코르 동화를 꾼다 되네 타바토되게 타바동에 삼바기 타바도에 삼바기는 디토네 안주 계셔 줍제 딩에 주르시네 주 람냠렌제네 되네 기리에 대화 최고래 디 대화디 단 대화디 대안에 대화에 줘야 말도 니 젤야 동화용 거 말에 진짜 그 유의 동화 최고 말데 람냠렌제네 되네기 대화기에 유의 동화 말에 탈바도 토요 말, 탈바 토요 말, 띵이 대화 탈바서 토요 말, 이래 그 유유동화 말에 유유동화 사이에 대화디 첼을 항상 길리치는 그 무치 동화래요. 진짜 람냠는 지는 대화기야디 디체라 같이 컴퓨터나 대화도 슈처셔 줘야마도 디체를 동화요 말.
네, 네. 람냠 제켄 기회 동일당 동일기 동일니 네 톱성.
매토메 코르 람냠네 띵이즈 곰제 대화 용야 줘와 디 대화디 유유동화 말. 이내 코르 유유동화 용으로 와. 내가 수번 나서다 요라 강아지 요라 이내 람냠네 제 띵이즈 곰제 람냠네 제네 띵이즈 께네 대화 토야 줘로 디 대화디 유유동화 말에스 디 딩아 대화디 가제 곰베네 대화 슈처셔 줘야마도 니제레 동화기가 말해 제 유유동화 말에스
그렇소. The practitioner who's striving with sincerity to achieve liberation, they will therefore be engaging in the primary practices of developing concentration and wisdom. And when this is achieved, when they achieve single point of concentration and developing the wisdom, realizing emptiness, and have achieved a mental path, an actual path of the Buddha Dharma, then this happiness that comes with concentration, that is a mental path. This happiness is not the suffering of transient pleasure, because they are striving to overcome completely samsara, and achieve the state of liberation. Therefore, the happiness that is, or the bliss, it's usually translated as the bliss, that is attained when one has concentration and a mental path and is striving for liberation, as one develops, this only increases in strength. And as the attainment of liberation approaches, the bliss that one is experiencing, or the happiness, the pleasure one is experiencing from this powerful concentration only ever grows. And therefore, this bliss is not the suffering of change or the suffering of transient pleasure.
나 돈다라 나오주게 가르치고 그러세네 지산 둥아에 덴데 레샤 사다니 나오주게 사다미 대화 덴데나 덴데 규르제 둥아리도 섬도 제 심주지 제바제요도 한 가슴 질량아주 가르섬당 그러는데 덴이기 사다미 대화세나 대화 템부 제데 레멘도 지산 덴에서 내제 대설레 타르체네 안 대화 템부세 토구 타르바세 토구도 세지 타르바 돈얘기 삼바디께 삼당 거 덴이기 제바제네 데니기 동아 때문에 동아 제사 동아를 타고 땡기 대화 토고도 마토는데 데니기 대화 잠래야 이문제 되어바네다 저기 지가 균이면 돼서 땡기 대화 토고 제사 코에 동아 타다래 타고도 제사 마타나 탑미도신 데니 타고도 샘비게 타바 돈이게 데니게 삼로디 야네 삼다이디 에 대수 동아 이마 삼다야도 데라 타고도 샘베 삼로 슉체게다 데라 타네 안에 타이어도 가서 탈바세 토부도 셈비 삼로 돈이도 슉체 따야지 베제제에 디레다가지 돈다 디셔 지상아도 디우스네 탈바세 토부도 삼 돈이 삼다 디제 타바 토베게 돈다라 당이 가르쳐 걸었네 게쇼투 룽아 유스미 예저도 수름 숨기 내일 안에 진배 냠내 책이 네 쇠배 냠내 책이 존재 냠내 책이 사다 안데 디니 안아서 띵에선 주야 셈 제시고 주야 타바토야도 제시주야 한 다음에 그 삼다야 두스는 냠내제를 디셔 오래제래 대지 둥아시에도 차상 가르스는 꾼디네데네 요레스 딜레 야가데 토바제 고레세 디시에 거다가제 디 야가데 가르스 타바세 토고 고레 디 되녀 삼게 고레세 디 시거 대장한테 삼다야 되다 이런 게 당가상게 시에게 삼다라디 다라래.
So to summarize what we've looked at last night and this morning, is that in order to live a life of great meaning, to fulfill the potential of this human rebirth, we need to, with honesty, investigate the situation of a human rebirth, of the experiences of humans and of gods. In particular here, to see that even the desirable experiences of humans and gods, these are actually not worthy of us striving for. That to fulfill the potential of this life, if our mind stays dominated by fulfilling the desires and the pleasures of this life, this actually is not a meaningful life, it's a waste. And we come to understand this through seeing that all the pleasures and desires that we can potentially experience in this life and others do experience are unstable, they do not last, and they are followed by suffering, and therefore are not worthy of being the primary objective of our endeavors. And moreover, that this experience of pleasure is deceptive, and it leads us to our confusion, thinking that that the achievement of worldly pleasures is all that we are capable of achieving, and keeps our true potential obscured, hidden from us. And secondly, our meditation needs to progress to the understanding that there is something far greater than what we can, that is otherwise to be experienced as an ordinary samsaric being, and that is the lasting, stable happiness of liberation, the actual state of happiness that we long for, a happiness that is never punctuated by even the slightest unpleasant circumstance. And in this way, we give rise to a strong desire for liberation from samsara, a wish to definitely emerge from samsara and achieve the state of freedom. And when this aspiration arises within us in sufficient strength, or for this aspiration to rise in us in sufficient strength, requires this meditation to be done repeatedly over a sustained period. And then when it does, we'll have the strength of mind to apply ourselves to the primary causes of the cultivation of single-pointed concentration and the wisdom analyzing reality, the wisdom that it realizes emptiness. And these two practices, supported by the branches of ethics, generosity, and patience. So this will come about when we see that there is something far better that we have the potential to achieve. And we lift this veil of obscuration, believing that worldly happiness, the achievement of that, is our potential. And rather, we come to a far clearer meaning of what a meaningful life is and how to achieve it. This afternoon we'll continue then from the next verse, and we'll come to the third of the three types of suffering, the all-pervasive suffering. So there's time. If you have more questions, then please feel free to ask. Start with Andy.
Okay, so this bliss that you achieve through single-pointed concentration, for instance, you say it's not the transitory happiness. I mean, it's still impermanent. But surely, if you haven't realised emptiness, then you're still prone to attachment for it.
Attachment for that bliss.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So is it correct to say that when one has achieved the bliss that comes with concentration, but is yet to realize emptiness, one will still be attached to that bliss, and also that bliss is impermanent. So therefore.
I wanted to check that bliss is impermanent.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So therefore, is it not transient, the suffering of transient happiness? Because it's impermanent and therefore can end. Yeah? Okay. Dene shine drupye ki dewa yöken tongni matoken kong dadung shine drupye ki dewa dela dojak yöre de gangla shine ki dewa de yang mitakpare jetang de gyue dugnil re marebe.
Lam mogombachi.
Kun shine drup yene tongpeni tokmasa.
Nomu yimado vene da lam mogombachi. Lam gi tarba doni gi samba mebachi. Ane ko chige shine drupi dubene suskewa chim lalya ge samte shine dubaina deni shine drupi dewa gyue dungare mida wazimde ki mar gyue dungare garasane lalya ge vene nya de nyam chen ma an debal ma ge da dunga 야 응고래 이제 주에 맞춰거래.
네 살포고서 이니 신이 줍겐데 공 동편이 독마송 이네 공 tarpa tobiki dopa jöken deni dewa de gyue dugnel segi mare. Karikase 공
tarpa donilge sambi kuni la che 신이 주바이나 데니기 신이 주현지라 신이 토바서 오라 마토바서 오르다.
신이 톱케네.
데니기 신이 톱간라 타바 donilge sam비 kuni la che 신이 톱네 데니기 대화텔라 다시 교회 동안 책 말해.
Okay. So a person who's achieved calm abiding, but their motivation is for mere calm abiding. So then they want to have good rebirths under the influence of calm abiding. So this is there's no thought of liberation or needing to realize emptiness. So that bliss would be called the suffering of transient pleasure. But a person who has achieved calm abiding with the motivation of achieving liberation will know they need to realize emptiness. And they will be striving to realize emptiness, although they have not yet. So their bliss, whilst of course it's impermanent, would not be called suffering because of the strength of their aspiration to achieve liberation. So they have this powerful determination for liberation, and under that influence, they've realized calm abiding, and will apply that to the development of wisdom. So that person then, it's not called transient suffering. Okay?
Oh, yeah, that's it.